James Garner has been a Hollywood star for a long time, from Grand Prix to The Great Escape to the Americanization of Emily. Now on television in First Monday and Mark Twain's Roughing It.
You know, I love Mark Twain's writing. He's probably one of the three best writers America's ever produced. And I really liked it, but it was quite a departure for me to do a character, you know, that was very well known and what he looked like. And I said, I don't look like Mark Twain. I was very leery about doing it, but there was that thing in me that wanted to try something different than just James Garner and what he does.
Right. James Garner for the hour, coming up.
Charlie Rose is made possible by these funders.
And by Bloomberg, a provider of multimedia news and information services worldwide. From our studios in New York City, this is Charlie Rose.
James Garner is here for more than 50 years. He has remained one of America's most recognizable and respected actors. He began his career in 1954, appearing opposite Henry Fonda on Broadway. In 1956, he became a contract player for Warner Brothers. What followed was a career in television that included roles in the classic series Maverick and The Rockford Files, and a film career that includes such movies as The Great Escape, Marlowe, and his Academy Award-nominated performance in Murphy's Romance. Earlier this year, he returned to series television in the CBS drama First Monday.
Who the hell needs a ramp?
Would you be careful, Henry? The last thing I need is you breaking your damn fool neck.
Oh, I'm touched that you missed me, Chief.
I'd miss your vote.
Worry about the new boy, huh?
Yeah, you catch his confirmation hearing on TV?
That Inquisition? Hell no.
Yeah, the way he handled himself reminded me of Billy Vessels.
Who the hell is Billy Vessels?
Heisman Trophy winner, 52. Yeah, you never know where Billy was going when he got the ball.
Had trouble tackling him, did you?
I never had to tackle Billy. We were on the same team.
Ah, you're afraid Novelli is not.
He's considering granting a stay to Brown.
Well, that's understandable. It's his first stay of execution.
It's a dangerous appeal, Henry. If he sides with Esther and the boys, it could start a backslide to liberalism neither of us wants.
Oh, it's one case, Chief.
Yeah, the only way to stop Billy was to hit him early, before he got up to speed.
You're enjoying this.
What?
The challenge. We're a 4-4 court again with the new boy right in the middle.
I'm too damn old to enjoy challenges, Henry.
Save the grumpy old man act for the new boy. I've been with you too long. You're back in a tough game, Chief, and you love it.
I am pleased to have James Garner at this table for the first time, but not the first time. We did a conversation way back in Fort Worth, Texas, when I first began the very first Charlie Rose program. You came to Texas to do a show, so I thank you again.
Hey, it was a pleasure. You know, you don't remember, I don't remember many interviewers, but you I remembered, and you were very young and starting out.
It's true.
And I said, this guy's good, you know, and I remembered you.
Thank you very much. It was a friend of yours that brought us together there.
Yeah, a friend of mine, oil man, Bill Saxon.
From Norman.
Yeah, we grew up together, known him since I was 4 years old.
I need to be corrected here. It hasn't been more than 50 years. It's been less than 50.
No, it'll be 49 in a month or so.
Yeah.
But one more year, it'll be 50 years.
There's much to be said about longevity.
Oh, that's always been my goal. That's always been my goal. I remember years and years ago, I was doing the Doris Day films and all that in the 60s, and somebody said, you know, Jim, if you just do a little more publicity, you could be #1 in the box office. I said, why would I want to do that? Where would I go from #1 to 2, 3, 4? I said, give me about 10, 11, and I'll hang in there. And I watched them all go up and come back down.
You sure have. And so you'll take 49 with pleasure.
You bet.
Yeah. And the secret is what to having a long career?
Well,
Making sure you're not on top so you can have nowhere to go.
Yeah, so you don't fall. But I think the secret is, well, first, you got to be lucky.
Yeah.
Right. You got to have the right thing at the right time.
Then you got to have some talent.
But, well, a little talent, but you have to pick what you do, you know, that suits you best, I think. And I've always said, whatever I did, I tried to maintain my dignity.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Choosing, in terms of the roles that you took.
The roles that I played, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other roles that, it's like Rambo.
Yeah.
I turned down Rambo. I didn't want any part of it.
Because
I
didn't like the character.
Morally, I
Yeah.
thought it was, you know, you kill a bunch of Americans. I mean, he killed a lot of National Guards people and police and all that. You know, I didn't see any, you know, I thought it was a very bad moral attitude.
Best film you ever did was Americanization of Emily.
That's my favorite, yes. It's Arthur Hiller who directed it, and it's also Julie Andrews' favorite.
It's her favorite film, too.
Yeah. We all loved it. Well, Patty Chayefsky wrote it, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful script. The problem with the movie at the time was it was in the mid-'60s, and it was during the Vietnam War, and this was an anti-war film. So
sure
people are a little bit skeptical of it, you know, because we knocked war pretty good, and rightly so. But when you have your soldiers over there fighting and whatever, a lot of people were a little looking askance at it.
When you look at the 49 years,
I try not to.
there it is, though. But, I mean, you look at this and say, I'm a lucky man. A, I chose something to do that I enjoy. I worked hard at it. I treated it honorably.
Yeah.
I chose with dignity.
Yeah.
You know, I continue to have a hell of a ride.
Yeah, as I say, I've been very fortunate in that, well, first I had no ambition. You know, I didn't want to be a star. I just want to do something where I could make a living.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I decided, Paul Gregory, who was a producer, and he was also an agent, you could do that in those days. And he talked me into being an actor because I didn't really want to. And I gave myself
So how did he talk you into it? He said you're right for this because you got the right.
He says, I've got work for you. He said, I'm going to do this play and a movie and whatever. And I said, well, all right, I'll give it a try. I'll give it 5 years to see if I number one, if I like it. And number two, can I make a living at it after 5 years? And after 5 years, I found out, yeah, I can make a living at this. By that time, I was starring in Maverick, and things were going well. I said, I can go another 5 years, and then another 5, another 5. Finally, when I was 50, I decided, I think I can make a deal out of this.
You made the most money from Rockford after you sued them?
Well, yeah, but I had to spend a long time in the courts to do it.
Yeah. But that says something about you. I mean, you knew that you were right. You knew that that made a lot more money than they were telling you in terms of their accounting. And you said, I don't care what, I'm going to see that I get my due.
I have been that way, and I'm not litigious, but I left Warner Brothers in a lawsuit when I was doing Maverick.
Yeah.
And they breached my contract. And
what did they do?
They laid me off when they didn't have a right to.
Yeah.
You know, they claimed, well, we can't get any work because it was a writer's strike at the time. Well, they had 15 writers writing under the table, which we finally got them to admit in court. So they're with their lawsuit. But, you know, when you're right, you're right. Yeah. You know, and I think you have to stand up for it. Fortunately, when I sued Universal, I had the money in the bank to be able to do that. You
could see it through.
Yes, because what they do is they keep you out of court as long as they can till people just give up. You know, I spent $2.2 million in law fees just suing them, and 8 years. Now that's a long time. Most people can't afford to do that. But what I did is I sold off part of my profits to a network, and that money I put in the bank, and that was money to sue them with.
Now, did you get court costs when you were successful?
No.
You know, you didn't get any of your attorney's fees back?
No.
Let me come back to this, but let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. First Monday, we'll get to in a moment. We saw that, the new CBS series about the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Sort of, someone said it's West Wing at the Supreme Court.
Oh, did they? Yeah, well, all right.
You'd take that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But this thing you're doing with called Roughing It.
Yeah, the Mark Twain thing, yeah.
That comes closer to your heart, does it, or not?
Well, I loved it. I just, you know, I love Mark Twain's writing. He's probably one of the 3 best writers America's ever produced. And I really liked it, but it was quite a departure for me to do a character, you know, that was very well known and what he looked like. And I said, I don't look like Mark Twain. I was very leery about doing it, but Charlie Martin Smith, who directed it and is a marvelous actor in his own right, talked me into it, really. And
because, how did he talk you into it?
Oh, he was just telling me, you'll be great, you know, that sort of thing, and building my ego up.
Right.
But there was that thing in me that wanted to try something different than just James Garner and what he does, you know, and because I'm getting of an age where there's going to be more of those roles and less the leading role. Not many leading roles around for a guy like me. But anyway, I did it. I enjoyed it. I had great fun at it. Yeah. And it's a 4-hour miniseries. And I spent more time in the looping room, in the ADR room, than I did on camera.
Now, why was that? Because you didn't have much camera time?
The way the story is built.
Yeah.
Mark Twain is giving a commencement speech at his daughter's graduation. Yeah. And during the speech, he goes into flashbacks of doing the story of Roughing It that he wrote. And so you flash back and me giving a speech and flashback for 4 hours.
All right, roll tape. This is a scene from Roughing It where you and your wife prepare for this trip to deliver the speech. Here it is.
That's all I need. I don't need anything else.
Then don't complain afterward of what you don't have.
I'm competent to pack myself. I don't want you to get any more fatigue.
I'm well enough to put a few things into your suitcase, and before you go, I have a few things for Susie.
I hope I don't embarrass her. I know she's always wanted me to write more serious matters.
My dear youth, are you nervous about the speech?
I don't know why they asked me. I have no advice worth hearing. Well, I can't find the corn cob. I can't go without it.
You must have left it in the kitchen. You've got plenty of time to make your train.
Maybe it's not in here.
Look on top of the pie safe.
Maybe they can get someone else to speak.
Sam? Sam? It was here, in the suitcase.
Oh.
James Garner and Samuel Clemens. Tell me about the Supreme Court series, which is called, as we know, First Monday. We saw a clip from there. Tell me about it.
What do you want to
Well, you play the Chief Justice.
Yeah, I'm the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
You got a very good
court in the land.
Yeah, you got a very good cast of actors there with you.
Wonderful cast.
Charles Durning,
Joe Mantegna, Charlie
Durning,
James Caron, James McKeechin.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, Stephen Markle, who was Canadian. Well, he's an American now. He just got his American citizenship. Just really, he's wonderful. He's really developing in there, and we got some young people who are really quite good. Hetty Burris and oh gosh, no. If I get into names, I'm dead. There's so many of them. There's 9 Supreme Court judges, and then there's at least 9 to 12 clerks. That we deal with.
A lot of law clerks at the Supreme Court.
It's a marvelous thing. Donald Belisario, who was a producer and writer of JAG, is doing this, and he's done a wonderful job.
JAG is a hugely successful series for CBS.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. And we hope that First Monday will be, because we deal with situations that people think about a lot, and we give both sides of the issue, and more so than we make decisions, we put it out in front of the audience make their decision.
Now, did you have to learn anything about the Supreme Court? I mean, you do any research here for this? You read a lot anyway.
Yeah, I read a lot. I have an idea, you know, about the Supreme Court, but I didn't do a lot of research.
Have you been down there?
No.
Not even looked at it?
Who knows? Who knows what goes on in the Supreme Court?
Nobody, because they're the most private people you've ever met.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you do an interview with them, they will not talk about specific cases at all. I've done the Supreme Court Chief Justice Rehnquist. I've done Senator Day O'Connor.
Yeah,
and they're not, and especially the controversial cases.
They will not talk about what they're doing, and rightly so.
Yeah.
You know, but what goes on behind those doors, we're free to do what we want.
You know, Bob Woodward wrote a great book called The Brethren, which is a kind of an inside story. Which he had some people on the inside giving a lot of information, I think. And I think he even had access to some of the justices who talked more than they had in the past. I mean, you get a sense of the power of the clerks. You get a sense of the power of the Chief Justice, especially, who really runs the court.
The clerks have more power than people think. Yeah. They can influence their judges.
Yeah, because the judges, they can't read everything. They can't do everything. Yeah. No. Are you interested in politics? Much?
Hate it.
You hate it?
Hate politics.
Period.
See, I have a little trouble with the Supreme Court because it's too political.
Yeah.
I want it to be constitutional. I'd like all of them to be in the middle of the road, so they can go this way or that way as their conscience fits. They won't do that. Well, they'll go as their political conscience goes. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the most controversial recent decision, the one that they made with respect to the Florida election, you thought they were wrong?
Dead wrong.
Dead wrong.
They should.
It was all a political thing.
Should not have been there in the first place.
Should not have made it should not have gotten to the.
Should never have gotten to them. In my mind, I mean, what do I know? I'm not a political person.
Well, but see, you are a smart guy. You read a lot, and come on, you do.
But I just don't think that the Supreme Court, particularly when it's loaded, 5-4 on the political right, should not be making that decision
as to who is the next president.
Yeah, right.
Well, if it wasn't that, it would have been the Florida Supreme Court.
Which, who knows? And there was a Bush there, too.
Yeah, well, that's true. There was a governor down there, another Governor Bush.
Right.
Yeah. But your politics seem to be, I mean, you may not want to talk about this, but give me a sense of it. Your politics seem to be to the left of center?
The very left.
The very left.
Yeah, I've always said a card-carrying liberal, but I'm very liberal. When I first,
this is a poor boy who came out of Norman, Oklahoma, a populist,
and everybody was a Democrat in Oklahoma then.
Yeah, it's true.
And when I first voted, I voted Republican.
Because?
I just thought at the time I voted for Eisenhower, and I felt that at the time we needed a strong military guy because the world was in a bit of a turmoil. And I learned my lesson. And I've never voted.
Now, did you voted for Eisenhower in 52?
Yeah.
And 56, did you go to Stevenson, or did you stay with Eisenhower?
Stevenson, that's where I met my wife.
Is that right? Because she was what?
A rally for Adlai Stevenson.
Yeah. Was it Lauren Bacall was a great friend of Adlai Stevenson?
Yes. Yes, she was.
Yeah. Stevenson was the most literate of presidential candidates.
Yeah, he was the smartest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Or literary.
Did you know Jack Kennedy?
Never met him.
Never met him?
Never met him.
Lyndon Johnson?
Yes, met him.
Met him?
Yeah. Met
Bill
Ford. Clinton.
Clinton?
Played golf. I love Clinton.
Love him?
Yeah.
Why?
Those peccadillos, they have nothing to do with politics.
Yeah. But you loved him because what?
That whole situation was just so ridiculous.
The Monica Lewinsky or the...
Yeah, so ridiculous. I mean, my goodness, you want to go back into president's history. Clinton was a choir boy.
But the way he ran the country, you very much approved.
Yeah, I approved of it. Yeah, I did. And but as I say, I don't like to get. Now my wife. Yeah. My wife is political.
She is. She's an activist.
Oh boy. And she writes letters. She writes a lot of letters.
But does she show them to you before she sends them off?
Sometimes. She said, I want your name on this too. Yes, dear.
You got all the money you need, I assume.
Well, no, I don't think anybody does that. Maybe Bill Gates. But
we'll get that.
Well, when you see guys with 400 million one week and very little the
2 million the next, or worse.
Yeah.
What do you think of Enron and...
Criminal.
Yeah.
And I hate to put it on this administration, but they were backed by this administration.
More connections.
Well, Hey, what's his name?
Ken Lake.
Ken Lake?
Yeah.
He's one of Bush's biggest advisors, and all that happened. I mean, that doesn't look good to me, politically.
When you look at what you have done, I mean, you keep working for what reason? Because it's what you do, and therefore that's what brings you satisfaction and joy?
I think other than my family, my work is my biggest joy.
Yeah,
And, you know, and I say that, I love to go to work.
Yeah.
I'm never late. I'm always there 30 minutes to an hour early.
Because you're showing your respect for the work?
Yes. Well, I think of Spencer Tracy, whose idea of acting was be on time, know your words, hit your marks, and tell the truth. And it's as simple as that, you know. And I've tried to follow that.
Yeah.
But that's really called professionalism. Knowing what you're doing, being prepared for it, as you do. Right. You prepare.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why you're good. You know, I've gone on there, and they said, well, what have you done? You know, it reminds me of the old story of the great director who went in, one of these 28-year-old producers. He said, remind me, what have you done?
This was a young, smart-ass producer asking of this great actor.
Great director.
Great director.
And the director said, you first.
No, I love that story. I've forgotten the punchline. I love
And I'm trying to think who the director was, because he was a big director.
Yeah, I remember that story.
And some stupid kid asked him that question.
You first.
Yeah.
You would hope it would be somebody like John Huston.
Well, it was almost in that category.
Yeah.
Yes.
What have you done?
Yeah.
You first.
But I just feel that the professionalism goes with it. That's part of it. And I learned a lot of that from Henry Fonda.
You were close to him, and you were with him on Broadway in Cane Mutiny.
When I did Cane Mutiny, and you said, I don't know, I forget how you introduced it, but when I was doing Cane Mutiny, I had no dialogue.
Yeah.
I was a judge.
Right.
But I didn't say anything or do anything. I would try to stay awake.
I knew that.
My first job was to cue Lloyd Nolan in the part of Queeg.
Right.
So he could learn his part. And when he did that, opening the first day of a read-through, Lloyd never opened the script. And everybody else is reading the part, you know, and he never opened the script. He knew it like that. Yeah. And Henry Fonda looked at him like, what is this? So he asked him, how'd you do that? And he told him, and so I cued Henry to learn his part, because these are big parts.
Yeah, how did he do it? What was the secret?
Well, the secret is you just do a line at a time, cue at a time. I would give him the cue, he would do the line. Yeah. I'd give him a cue.
So he was able to associate the cue with the line.
And we did so much of it each day.
Yeah.
Until finally we could run through the whole thing. Yeah. And I did the same thing with Henry. And then I understudied John Hodiak.
Yeah.
Never went on. But I was assigned by the producer to make sure John Hodiak's dressing room was right wherever we went, and his uniform was there, and so I became friendly with Hody. And so when we would go into towns, here's Hodiak and Fonda and Nolan and Jim Bumgarner, which was my name then.
Right,
we were kind of a foursome. Well, you know, I kind of went out as a bodyguard for them. But I learned so much from those men, and I miss them. I miss them greatly.
Friendships make a business, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, people that you meet, you know, that help fashion and shape something that you can all be proud of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as I started to say about acting, I love the going to do it every day. I love that. And when I leave, I don't take it with me.
Yeah.
I leave it there. And then
you don't go home to the
when
wife.
they say wrap, that's it. I try not to think about it. I have to do promotion and that sort of thing on it, or go and do sound. But after that, I don't even worry whether it's successful or unsuccessful or what. It doesn't bother me. I just like the actual doing it day to day.
Did you like Grand Prix?
Oh, now that's different. That's fun.
That was fun.
No,
the reason I asked,
the best race cars in the world with the best race drivers on the best circuits. I mean, for 8 months I did that. That was great fun.
I am working for 60 Minutes 2 on a profile of Michael Schumacher, who's the world champion, Formula One, won 4 times the world championship, may win 5 this year, which will time with you. So you still follow Formula One?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I go to the race.
Why has it never caught on in America?
Oh, I don't know. I think we got so many people who like stock car racing,
right.
NASCAR,
And Indy
but
500.
in Indianapolis, you know, they love Indianapolis, but the other races are secondary to that. They do good business. Don't get me wrong. And they've had in the last 5 years, I guess it is, this thing with the IRL card, and I hope they get back together.
Boy,
because it's separated. You know, these were the better ones and these were the lesser ones.
Right.
But these had the venues and these didn't. You know, it's been very difficult, but I think they're coming together.
But you're too big to be a Formula One racer. Always were.
Actually, yes. When I did Grand Prix, we had to take the seats out, and I sat on the frame.
Yeah.
On a towel or a piece of leather or something, and they had to raise the roll bar up because I was too tall.
Why do you drive racing cars? Or do you not think about it?
Oh, Mr. Yamura, I don't think there's one of us who doesn't ask himself at least once in the middle of a race, what the hell am I doing here? Of course, when it's over, we conveniently forget that we ask ourselves that question. I think about it. There are a lot of reasons, I don't know. Maybe to do something that brings you so close to the possibility of death and to survive it is to feel life and living so much more intensely.
But it was a great film. I mean, Frankenheimer did such a great job.
He did a marvelous job.
I remember the opening of that film. At the time I saw it, I'm looking at it again now just to re-familiarize myself with the romance of Formula One. You know, and the shots that they took at Monte Carlo, and now to watch video of Monte Carlo today, it's the same thing.
That's what you're seeing. It's just different cars.
It shows you how good he's done it.
Yeah, he did a beautiful job. And Frankenheimer at that time was a bull.
Yeah.
He wanted it. He made you do it. You know, made the crew and everybody. He kind of forced it on them. You know, but he knew what he wanted, and he got it.
Tell me who the directors are that you have respected the most that made a difference for you.
Willie Wyler. Willie Wyler was just, he's a fantastic man.
Tell me about him.
Willie was an extremely talented man. He had such a great mind. Willie didn't express himself that well to the actors. And Willie was